we got to talk about, did McLaren mishandle the interaction, so to speak, the incident between the two McLaren drivers, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris? A controversial decision by McLaren at the beginning of the Singapore Grand Prix after Lando Norris made contact with Oscar Piastri, trying to avoid Max Verstappen, who it looked like he might have made a little bit of contact with, to let Norris keep the position over Piastri. The main question here being asked is, did McLaren handle this correctly? And I'm not super sure. I really want to know what you guys think down in the comments as well. So please feel free to chime in on this. Let me know if I'm off center, off base, if you think I'm completely wrong, but I'm just not entirely sure. McLaren have been very willing to swap their drivers over fairness over the course of this season, including after a pit stop incident in Monza where Lando Norris suffered a bad stop at the hands of the pit crew. Oscar was asked to relinquish that position back to his teammate. But when I look at this incident, I look at where Lando Norris was coming from. I look at where Oscar Piastri is coming from, the way the FIA stewards addressed it, the way that the team addressed it. I think this one just kind of is what it is. Lando Norris made the move coming up the inside with the, dirty side of the track, if I'm not mistaken, to start the race, starting down in P5, if I'm not mistaken. Because, Piastri started P3. Starting P5, got a great jump off the line, weaving through traffic past Kimi Antonelli, and coming along the inside of turn 3, making that contact, tapping the back of the Red Bull, hitting his teammate on the outside, forcing him a bit wide to force the position. It just kind of is what it is, at least in my opinion. Lando went for the gap and forced his teammate wide, a bit of an aggressive style of driving. But when it comes to Lando Norris, what he's trying to do, I can't necessarily fault him. All year, we've talked all about how Lando needs to do more, be more aggressive, take opportunities where he sees them, and, semi-paraphrasing the great Ayrton Senna, if you don't go for a gap that exists, are you still a racing driver? And Lando Norris really did his best attempt at doing that, securing the position. And again, by all the credentialed people in the world, they decided that there really wasn't much more to investigate after that. You just keep racing. Lando Norris continued to have a pretty solid Grand Prix weekend. If I'm not mistaken, he finished 5 to 6 to 7 seconds ahead of his teammate. I'll have to confirm this while I'm discussing it. But finishing 8.1 seconds ahead of Oscar Piastri at the end of the Singapore Grand Prix. So it's not like Lando Norris didn't have himself a solid race, trying to chase after Max Verstappen. And at the same time, I also don't fault Piastri for being annoyed. McLaren have set this precedent over the course of the season that, we're going to drive, we're going to be very fair, we're going to be very cordial within this championship battle. We're going to do things the Papaya way, the Papaya rules. I don't blame Piastri for voicing a noticeable level of frustration post-race, during race, that he felt like he was broadsided, that he was shoved out of the way, that he had earned the position in qualifying, and that the standards had not been kept. And over the course of the season, he's been asked to sacrifice at moments. Now his championship lead down to 22 points, if I'm not mistaken. Lando Norris only able to carve 3 points out of Oscar Piastri's 25-point lead. But I don't blame him for being annoyed. I think McLaren have created a space for their drivers and the fans to question every moment that happens between these two going forward, especially as this championship reaches its end with 6 races to go. Inversely, I think that there is a bit of a question, though, when it comes to Oscar Piastri. Does Oscar just have to keep his head down, and maybe is it time to refocus? It's been 3 Grand Prix weekends now in a row without Oscar Piastri claiming the top step, which, as far as F1 is concerned, it's not an eternity. But in what is unarguably the best car this season, with the championship leader in front of it, or at least in the cockpit, it is a bit on the onus of the driver to take the opportunities. Said a lot about Lando Norris over the course of the season. Does he have the mettle? Does he have the mental toughness? Does he have the ability to really take this championship back, right? After losing out on a year that was pegged to be his from the get-go, Lando Norris obviously falling behind. This, for Lando Norris, is a huge moment. I don't blame him for being happy, about getting a 3-point slide to go his way this Grand Prix weekend, especially after what he missed out at opportunity-wise in Baku. Lando Norris took care of business on his end. When it comes to Oscar Piastri, since the summer break, the car isn't super far ahead of the rest of the competition. You're still comparatively close to your teammate when it comes to qualifying performances, when it comes to race performances. If you want to solidify this championship, I think that it's becoming a bit on the onus of Oscar to go take the damn thing for yourself. Obviously, Lando Norris isn't going to just back down completely. I do believe still, and I've said this all year, that Oscar Piastri has displayed and probably is the better driver among the two, especially when it comes to consistency. He's had very few errors this season. He's had very few forced errors. I don't consider this an error on Oscar's part that he lost the position. Lando did make an ambitious move and pulled it off. And again, officials ruled how they ruled. Lando's going to continue to try his hardest here and still needs at least 3 to 4 wins to take this title back, assuming Piastri finishes at least second place right behind him. Another question, though, are we going to see the Papaya rules broken? Oscar Piastri obviously felt some type of way following this Grand Prix, said he was going to assess it with the team and take a look at things. But if Piastri feels like his title is under threat, if he feels like McLaren are showing some level of favorability to one side of the garage than the other, I think the onus does come back to him. Don't care, son. Don't care. Take this damn thing. I understand, you need the championship. You need the team behind you to win this championship. McLaren have gotten theirs. McLaren have secured the Constructors' Championship. And with all due respect to them, it is now a battle between the two of your drivers to figure out who is going to come out on top in this thing. You got a 22-point lead with 6 races to go at this stage of the championship. You don't want it to come down to Abu Dhabi if you're Oscar Piastri. Not to say that it's going to be Lando Norris's to win in Abu Dhabi. Obviously, these guys are driving incredibly close to one another. But if Lando does make it close, and we do have this title come down to December 7th, I could very well see McLaren just saying, we're going to go racing, leave it out all on track. Oscar Piastri, if you want this championship, go secure it. If Lando Norris wants this championship, go make yourself a champion. So if you're Oscar Piastri, take this as a bit of a sign that you might have to take things into your own hands moving forward. McLaren have gotten theirs. They have achieved the biggest check when it comes to the championship winnings at the end of the season. It's solidified. It's done. Bonuses are put into ink at this point. For Oscar Piastri, go become immortal. Go become the champion that we've envisioned the majority of this season. Lando Norris has not met the moment. This is one weekend where he's edged past among a number of them. But the overall consistency so far on the season has been Piastri's corner. The overall consistency, the racecraft, the defense, the qualifyings have leaned towards Piastri. So if you're Oscar Piastri, it comes back to you. How badly do you want this championship? Team be damned. Teammate be damned. The impression of Zach Brown be damned. Do you want to become immortal, or do you want to continue to be this facilitator, this happy-go-lucky, so to speak, second place? Because it feels one way. There are a lot of people online that would say that this team really has tailored themselves towards Lando Norris. They backed Lando Norris. They brought him up through the ranks, and they've really just seen this as Lando's year. There are a lot of fans who would say that online, of course. But if you're Oscar Piastri, shut out the noise. Shout out even some of these team orders. Get ambitious. Go take it for yourself. That's the point you got to prove. That is, at least in my opinion, what we got to see out of Oscar Piastri the next 6 Grand Prix weekends. We've got the United States Grand Prix next in Austin. I believe that's a sprint format. There's still extra points to be found if you're Oscar Piastri, if you're Lando Norris. The U.S. Grand Prix, you've still got Vegas down the line. You've got Brazil. We've got Abu Dhabi. And let me see, scheduling-wise, I want to make sure we have Mexico as well in this mix. I mean, there's a lot more opportunities left on this table. We've still got 6 more races to go. So at the end of the day, one more time, Oscar Piastri, go freaking take it, my man. What do you guys think, though? TLPs, should McLaren have swapped them back in Singapore? Is Oscar Piastri getting the raw end of this deal with McLaren? Is there a favorability on one side of the garage or the other? Is Lando getting that special treatment? I want to know what the TLPs think. Let me know in the comments section below, because this is an interesting topic. This is a conversation we've been having all season. This is something that for the next 6 Grand Prix weekends is going to be the focus, going to be the headline, even if other teams are winning races, which did happen this weekend.